Welcome to the Bald Guys Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Tony Peters, and we're going to be talking this time about the Cleveland Browns, the most hyped NFL team during the offseason. You know, they had a magical turnaround from going 0-16 the previous year to almost making the playoffs last year with rookie quarterback sensation Baker-Mayfield, a lot of other young players. It was an exciting time, an exciting turnaround for Browns fans. But I'm here to tell you, temper your expectations. I'm going to give you a list of reasons why the Browns are going to struggle to even get a wild card spot. Again, not trying to dampen the mood. There's a lot of hype going on with the Cleveland Browns. But I'm here to tell you that it's not a perfect team. And so let's start with the number one issue that I think the Browns have right now, and that is their offensive line. You know, we got Odell Beckham Jr. from the Giants pretty cheap. We didn't have to give up a whole lot, but we did give up a couple of key components on the roster, and one of them was right guard Kevin Zeitler. This guy was a solidifying force on the right side of the offensive line, and it's been difficult to replace him. The hope was that second-year man Austin Corbett would slide into that role. It hasn't happened. We picked up this journeyman Eric Kush. He's been spotty at best, but the offensive line has not looked very good in preseason. And I don't care how many great weapons Baker-Mayfield has to throw to. If he's constantly running for his life, it's not going to be a good thing. Also, it's going to affect the running game as well. I think the offensive line is a big question mark going into week one versus the Titans. Number two would be rookie kickers. We had issues last year with our kicker, Greg Joseph. He was very inconsistent. And so John Dorsey brought in Austin Seibert as a rookie to kind of have a kicking competition. And ultimately, both kickers were pretty inconsistent during training camp and preseason, but they settled on Seibert because I think he's got an upside that Greg Joseph doesn't have. But, you know, it's a small sample size. You know, the last two preseason games, Austin Seibert made all 6 of his field goals, made all the point afters. So there's obviously some positivity there. However, that's a small sample size. So I'm a little worried about that. There's going to be some games where we need to kick a game-winning field goal, and we're going to be relying on a rookie. Not only that, we decided to part ways with longtime punter Britton Colquitt. He went and signed with the Vikings. And we decided to go with rookie Jamie Gillan, known as the Scottish Hammer. I think the idea is that this guy has a huge upside, just a monster leg. And not only that, we watched him on a couple of occasions in preseason during the games make the key tackle that saved a touchdown. So this guy isn't afraid to kind of get his hands dirty. But he will also be the holder on the kicks. So we're going to have a rookie kicker and a rookie holder. And that's kind of a question mark as well. So we'll be looking at that. Number 3, there was a lot of guys on the Browns roster that we're expecting to be starters. We're expecting to play key roles. These guys are coming off missing a lot of time last season. Specifically at the linebacking position, Joe Schobert and Christian Kirksey are both great guys when they're healthy, but both of those guys spent considerable amount of time on the sidelines with injuries. And so their backups are rookies, Mack Wilson and Sione Takitaki. These guys they have a lot of upside, but they're rookies. And so we don't have a lot of depth at linebacker in that position. Also, at the cornerback position, Denzel Ward was a breakout as a rookie. He looked fantastic out there, but I think he spent as much time in concussion protocol as he did actually on the playing field. Again, can Denzel Ward stay healthy this season? That's going to be a big role. Even Odell Beckham Jr. spent some time injured. Rashard Higgins, which was one of Baker Mayfield's most consistent targets, he spent a lot of time on the sidelines with injuries as well. So I think that's going to play a role. Can these guys actually stay healthy for the season? And then another issue is the depth that we have. We mentioned it with linebacker, but what about at running back? Nick Chubb, fantastic rookie season as a running back, but we don't have a lot of really known talent behind him. Dontrell Hilliard and Dearness Jackson, these guys could be good, but it's a big question mark. And we're waiting for half the season to see if we can actually turn Kareem Hunt loose. Well, that'll remain to be seen. I'm not really sure that that's going to happen. Hopefully it will. But that's one of those situations. We don't have a lot of depth at running back. On the safety position, on the defense, another guy that we gave up for Odell was Jabril Peppers. Now, Peppers had been a liability for about the first season and a half, but it looked like he was really starting to turn it around in the second half of last season. I mean, he single-handedly won that Denver Broncos game for the Browns. And, again, who knows what kind of upside Jabril has, but he was starting to really kind of get a handle on the defense. And, now we're kind of looking for a couple of journeyman safeties to kind of take that role. And I don't believe we're very deep there either if we get any injuries. So we're looking at that as well. I think the Browns have one of the best wide receiving tandems in the NFL between Odell and Jarvis and Richard and Antonio Callaway when he's in there, David Njoku. It's a good receiving tandem. But again, if the offensive line can't produce, if we can't run the ball, Baker-Mayfield's running for his life, it's not going to matter. I think on the defensive, we've got one of the finest defensive lines, and through preseason, they've looked fantastic. But again, if your secondary is getting beat, the defensive line is not really going to wreak havoc. So I think that's an issue. And the final sort of question mark, it's real easy to look at things and say, Freddie Kitchens played such a huge role in Baker Mayfield's development. We're used to hearing his name. Well, that's true. But he was not the head coach last year. Even during the turnaround, that was Greg Williams. So Freddie Kitchens is a rookie head coach. I know, as Browns fans, you've talked about Freddie throughout the end of last season and into the offseason. But, Freddie is a rookie head coach. And rookie head coaches sometimes struggle a little bit. We've also got a brand new offensive coordinator, brand new defensive coordinator. So there's a lot of variables going into this season. And again, I think the Browns are going to be fun to watch. I think they're going to do some really explosive plays. But I think there's going to be some times where the Browns make some mistakes that happen when you're a young football team. I think they've got to grow. And so that's what I would say is if you're a Browns fan and you're believing the hype and you think that the Browns are going to go 14-2 or something like that and win the AFC North, and Freddie Kitchens is going to be coach of the year and all that, that sounds great on paper. But I think you've really got to look and see that the Browns probably are still a few more players away from seriously challenging for a Super Bowl spot. I think there'll be a wild card. Hey, they might actually sneak up and win the AFC North, but I also think the Browns are going to struggle a little bit. There are going to be some times during the season. And I will say this in wrapping up. If the Browns start out 0-3 or 1-2, that's absolutely a recipe for disaster. Because, when the Patriots start out 0-3, they go and they walk past their trophy case that's just jam-packed full of Super Bowl trophies, and they just go, hey, we'll turn it around. We're the Patriots. When the Browns are 0-3, the Browns are like, same old Browns, right? So I think it's really crucial for a young team like this to start out fast, to start out strong, and to start out with some wins, and then we'll see how the rest of the season goes. But I would just say this, temper your expectations. I think we're probably a year away from seriously the discussion about a Super Bowl. And we'll see. I reserve the right to be wrong, and I would love to hear your comments on it. But, yeah, I'm just thinking the Browns still have a lot of major holes in their roster. and we'll just see about that. So anyway, that is my thoughts as we head into week 1. We'll see you next time on the Bald Guys Sports Podcast.